Hi, I'm Sarah Swisher, and my topic was is personality stable over life course. And it's pretty much thinking about everything that's happened in your life and people thinking that something has happened to them, that it's actually changed their personality instead of just the way they think about things. It really had a lot to do with the topic and course because Chapter 8 is the biggest chapter in the whole book that really looks at personality, and it talks about all the theories and Freud's psychodynamic theory and his 3 components and psychosexual stages, which was really the most frequent theory I found. My interest in this topic was mainly about my personal experiences. When my parents were divorced, I was 7 years old, and I noticed now that it kind of changed me, or I thought it did. And losing my grandfather and a really close friend of mine is another thing that I thought really changed my personality. So I concluded that personality, if it changes, then that means it's affected by challenges throughout the life course, which means that corresponds with the changes in the life course. So this is Freud's theory of personality change, and he really looked at psychodynamic approach, needs, wishes, and desires from your childhood, and then there's really 3 components at work in your mind, and they are your id, ego, and superego. And your id is like your present desires, your ego is developed through contact with the external world, and superego is really when your parents exercise authority, learn from it. And his psychosexual stages, which is explained on this slide, maybe not. Okay, anyways. Psychosexual stages. The oral stage can lead to pessimism and passivity if there's a fixation during this stage, which would be a fixation during 0 to 18 months. And then the anal stage, if there's a fixation, will lead to like OCD, excessively orderliness, or excessive messiness. That's 15 months to 3 years. And the phallic stage is like it can lead to children having feelings for the opposite sex parent. So that's his conclusion on personality change, and he thought that all of these had something to do with like why personality changes in a person. In class we talked about the 5-factor theory, and the plasticity theory, it was called set like plaster, and the 5-factor theory was said to be, the 5-factor theory was said to be set like plaster, and this one is plasticity. So plasticity rejected the 5-factor theory pretty much because the 5-factor theory stated that men and women develop the same, where this said that changes in social roles between men and women were a lot different, and gender development is a lot different. And it also said that improvements in emotions and developments become better over time when it comes to a person. We talked about in class the tests that can diagnose and classify behaviors and personalities, and these 5 tests are said to be like correlated with research and data, and the research and data showed that 5 of 6 of the main traits observed were changed. So they connected the numbers in the data charts to each one of these tests that measure psychodynamic approach, the Big 5 theory, personality orientation, and the MMPI, which is the Minnesota Multi-Phasic Inventory, and the Neo-Personality Test. These tests measured stability and said that changes will stabilize over 30 years. So this agrees with the stability side of the topic, because it said that it's more mindset that leads to personality. So back to what I said in the beginning, I thought that my personality changed like fully because of what happened to me, when it was really a mind game that I was thinking that I changed, so therefore my attitude changed toward things. And then the 5-factor model, there was a lot of arguments between this stabilizing, saying that personality is stable and that it changed over time. And we discussed Ocean in class about these three things. So pretty much this was agreed, these tests agreed with it. It's really, the definition of personality is really simple and straightforward. It just says that it is lifelong. So I use this as a point of that personality is stable because right in the definition it says lifelong. And it says there's no age-related shifts and that most people don't recognize the difference between a personality change and like attitude change. So that's a big thing in the definition. In class we discussed the humanistic and existential theory. And it really talked about two key things, which is motivation and how well adjusted someone is. Motivation was people are motivated by like, internal forces to do things and how they feel. And it just focused on how well a person adjusts to something. Like, I probably didn't adjust very well to what happened to me, so that affected my mindset, personality. It's highly correlated with Maslow's theory of motivation. So after I researched everything and went over all the arguments, it was really a hard topic to understand at first because there was a lot of information that didn't go one way or the other. It just talked about the theories, and now that I understand the true definition and how it really affects the mindset, and then understand the processes that neutralize over time, I really understand that personality is stable through the whole development.